Welcome back to Sports Kathi. As said, last time I am the happy-faced Vaishakh, and with me is the not-so-happy-faced Rohit.
Hi everyone. Yes, as Vaishakh said, why I'm not happy is because Djokovic did not win the Grand Slam, and I support him, whereas Vaishakh supports Nadal, and he has won the Grand Slam, and I can see it on his background there. So yes, Vaishakh, you're the happy one here.
Yeah, yeah. So as said, we are talking about tennis. I mean, it has been long overdue. We went through two Grand Slams without talking about anything about tennis. Last September we had the US Open just this last month, and then we had the French Open that culminated just the last Sunday, I would say. So let's start with the US Open. So what happened in the US Open is that the Federer had a knee surgery, so he did not attend. And Nadal, I think he cited the pandemic was too much. I think it was at its peak in Spain as well. So he did not want to travel to US. It was also peak in US, I have to say. And Djokovic, who opted to travel, had a reckless moment in the court, and he was disqualified. So that's all it took. The big three is out, and we have a new winner, Dominic Thiem. He's the 2020 US Open champion. And with that, he is the first person who's born after 1988 to win a Grand Slam. And I say 1988 because there are only two exceptions. One is Marin Cilic and the other one is Del Potro. They are both born in 1988. So apart from that, everyone is 1987 or before. So starting from 2005 French Open, which Nadal won, the first Grand Slam he won. Since then, it's either the big three, Nadal, Djokovic, or Federer, and some exceptions with Andy Murray and Stan Wawrinka. And these two exceptions, Marin Cilic and Del Potro, I said, winning one US Open each. Apart from that, no one else has won the Grand Slams. So this is really something big in the men's championship, and something which is a new discovery in the men's championship, that, the big three actually don't win any Grand Slam if you don't let them play. So that's a new thing for us to understand. So we can have a new winner. It's pretty easy. You don't let them play. On the women's side, we have Naomi Osaka, the new sensation. It's really emotional to see her win her third Grand Slam, her second US Open. So I give it to Rohit now. Can you draw a detailed picture of the tournament?
Oh yes, as you mentioned, we had a new Grand Slam winner on the men's side in Dominic Thiem. You clearly mentioned how rare an occurrence it is. Just a couple more points on that one to highlight how rare an occurrence that is. He's the first new champion since 2014 US Open. When Cilic won it, and the first champion who's not part of the big three since 2016 US Open when Wawrinka had won it. So yes, clearly a rare occurrence. But again, I want to be very sure, before people jump in saying that is this the end of the big three domination, we need to remember that Rafael Nadal, as Vaishakh mentioned, he skipped the tournament. Roger Federer was injured for the tournament, so he also skipped the tournament. And only one of the big three actually played the tournament, who was Novak Djokovic. And unfortunately for him, he was disqualified from the tournament. So even though it was a great and well-deserving achievement for Dominic Thiem, it still does not mean the big three domination is over. So, yes, we are far away from it for now. Anyways, let's not little down. However, this is a big achievement for the new generation, and let's not take any sheen from it. Anyways, this win by Dominic Thiem I'm hoping will give confidence for him going into the future tournaments. And this experience of winning a final, definitely will help him a lot. I feel that. But not just for him. I just feel like for the remaining draw, it gives a boost in confidence. Now it gives them a feel that okay, it's possible to win a Grand Slam, because no, someone we just explained how rare this occurrence has been, and now that someone else has won it, the remaining draw can now think about, yeah, why can't I do it? I can repeat the same thing what Dominic Thiem did. So this gives confidence rest a draw also. One player I want to really pick out and talk about is Alexander Zverev. He was the losing finalist at US Open. He also played the semifinals in Australian Open this year. So he has now some good experience in playing in some big matches. So I think he can draw from these experiences, and definitely take next time an opportunity opens up for him, he can grab it. He can grab a Grand Slam by himself. No, anyways, this is what we can look in the next generation, and this is what we can hope for. But now, let's talk from a tennis point of view. Now, again, this podcast, I don't think will give us an opportunity to really dig deep and explain about how the games were, or explain about how well or how the tennis was played in. But I would like to touch upon certain small matches, certain key matches, or certain aspects which are relevant for me. So I'm touching about a couple of key matches. One was Dominic Thiem beating Medvedev, Daniel Medvedev, and that was because once Djokovic got disqualified, I felt these were the two players that were favorites to win the Grand Slam. That is Dominic Thiem and Daniel Medvedev. And why I rate Medvedev is because mainly because he had reached the finals here in 2019, and even this year he was playing some really good tennis. So for me, the match between Thiem and Medvedev was kind of the decider to win the Grand Slam, and that's what eventually happened. I know the match was only three-setter, but it's much tighter than what the scoreline suggests. Two of those sets went to tiebreaker, and even otherwise, not just because it went tiebreaker, the match itself was of good quality and was extremely tight. The rallies were really, really competing. So for me, that is one match which actually was for me the defining match of the tournament, and that's what happened. Thiem won it and went on to win the Grand Slam. So that was one very good match. And the other match which I really wanted to talk about or just want to mention is the finals itself. Now, the finals, from a scoreline point of view, was a five-setter. But I personally found the quality of tennis I would say, average at best. Both players were in some ways overwhelmed by the occasion, you can say. It's understandable because it was their first real opportunity to win a Grand Slam. I mean, Thiem did play Grand Slam finals before, but here in front of him was a clearer opportunity. So yes, the nervousness was understandable, but then the quality of tennis was poor, I would say, or average at best. Again, credits to Thiem for holding his nerve. Uh, After going two sets down, he made a comeback to win the next three sets, and the finals went into the final tiebreaker also, US Open fifth set tiebreaker also, and he held his nerve. I wouldn't say it was his class that shone through. It was more of who makes less mistakes, and Thiem actually proved the point that he could make lesser mistakes, and that is what actually shown. So I believe, yes, from a quality point of view, not the best match to watch. In some ways, you can give credit to him that he held his nerve during the big points, and so these were two matches I feel was from a Grand Slam point of view, which was a very I would say uh, low in quality Grand Slam in general, because given the big players were not there, given not just the big players, a lot of players were missing out. There were players who were withdrawn halfway through the tournament because of certain cases. So yes, for me, overall this tournament was not the highlight or not the best US Open we have had, but all credits to Dominic Thiem and also for Zverev for making a finals and playing a five-set finals and deciding the finals on a tiebreaker. So yes, it was having its own drama, and the tournament lived up to its drama. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about this uh, US Open. I know not much to talk about here, so I'm giving it here. What else do you want to add on to it, Vaishak?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of US Open. I was not much into tennis. Yeah, I watched the semifinals or the finals a bit in the final moments a bit. And yeah, I think I agree with you most of the things with what Thiem and Zverev. The match was a bit more of who makes lesser mistakes, and I think in terms of the tennis quality, as much as they say the technicality, I didn't think Zverev was much less than Thiem. It was just Thiem's mentality and I think he has played more finals, that led him to win it. I think Thiem was tired by the end as well, and it was just his mentality that took him through around Zverev. And I hope with more finals, Zverev will also grow into it, because he lacks the mentality to win, the big moments. He lacked the mentality to, really capitulate on the big moments. Coming to the women's final, the matches, even if you don't watch, when you are in United States, certainly Serena Williams is dominating the advertisements, and she just dominates the campaign. So you are certainly connected to it, and huge credit to Naomi Osaka as well. She was a talking point on the field as well as off the field, and for right reasons, as she said. I just want to be, the right reason for people to start the conversation on issues, on social issues. And she didn't talk much herself, but she just held put the mask every match, and it was also a reason for people to start talking. So that's a good way for sportsmen, a teenage sportsman, to come out and just have a voice in a very humble way, so that that there needs to be a conversation that people need to have seriously about it. And apart from that, it was a comeback of Azarenka. I must also mention that as people might think that she was a number one at one point of time, and she went missing for long. She also had personal issues, and it was quite happy to see her sit with her son. She just won the case for the custody of her son. So I think this could be a comeback. She is a bit old, but this could be a reason for her comeback. She has personal reasons. She's back. She's happy. She has won the case. She has won the custody of her son. So it could be, we might have some big reasons in the women's tournament. I don't know if Serena will still be at the high standards, but Azarenka could be back. Naomi Osaka is coming up to be a big name. So women's tennis, compared to last seasons, there are some stars that are coming up and dare to stay for long. As we come to French Open now after this, we will talk more about another person. I don't want to get to that right now. But before we end about a US Open, I thought that you might have a rant about Djokovic getting disqualified. I was really waiting for it. So, the incident that happened is pretty much of an accident, and it was a bit disheartening to see the way he was treated by the tennis fraternity. I won't say the fraternity, much more by the fans, much more by the die-hard Federer fans or the die-hard tennis fans. That Djokovic was much more blamed. And I saw in the French Open final as well, he had some behavioral issues with the ball boy as well. Get the ball quickly to him. So is there a change in the behavior with him? This is not something that you expect to see from Djokovic normally.
Yes, I knew this topic will come up, given I'm a Djokovic fan. So anyways, as a Djokovic fan, it was, as you clearly mentioned, a really unfortunate event. And really unfortunate as a fan to see what happened, because this Grand Slam was one I was expecting him to sweep through, given there was no Federer and Nadal in the tournament. Now, again, with the incident itself, I just have to say it was something unfortunate for all the parties involved. Novak shouldn't have done what he did, and it was his bad luck that hit the Lions lady, and unfortunate for her to be in such a situation. It was something that just happened. Now, your follow-up question about Djokovic and his temper or losing composure on the court. I wouldn't say it's something new. He always has been someone with a bit of a temper on court. You must have seen him break rackets and displaying his emotions openly while playing. Now, this incident just showed that what can happen when you don't channel those emotions well enough. So he will definitely learn from this, but I would still expect him to have outbursts while playing. So I expect him to have these or I would say go ahead and break rackets or have this outburst, but hopefully he will not end up accidentally or intentionally harming anyone in the court again. So that was something very unfortunate, and that's something that just happened. It happens in tennis, and it's not the first time that happened, and it just happened to him. It's unfortunate. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly has to get out of the habit of throwing the ball anywhere he wants, because I mean, if you throw the racket, it's fine. Sometimes you get a warning, but you won't get disqualified at least. That's the risk is slightly less if he wants to vent his anger by breaking his racket. Anyway, let's move on to the French Open. Let's not talk about that much. And I watched the French Open a bit more, obvious reasons. Nadal played it, and this is another Grand Slam where Nadal has not lost a single set. So he has done it in 2008 French Open, he has done it in 2010 French Open, he's done it in 2017, and now in 2020. And I think he's the only person to do it in 4 Grand Slams. So a bit about the game that Nadal played. If you look at his game in the 2000s, it was more about the power tennis. I mean, you see the highlights then. It was, the ball is just flying past people at full speed, and you have no replies to it. And compared to those days, I think Nadal's tennis is far more skillful currently. It lacks the brutality of those days, the powerful brutality, but if you look at 2008, I think it was one of the match against Almagro or someone. I think one of the matches where he said, like, oh, this man is going to come back even when he's 60 and he's still going to win the French Open. I mean, it sounded like a person who lost all the sets and just absolutely hopeless, saying some bullshit. But Nadal has done it. After 12 years, he has come back to the French Open and actually replicated his 2008 form. In terms of results, at least, and he has won every set and won the French Open without dropping a set. And so with that, Nadal has also equaled, Federer's record of 20 Grand Slams. So it's quite special for a person like Nadal. When you start supporting Nadal, you never thought like these are the kinds of heights you reach. I mean, no one. I don't think even Federer fan would have thought he would win 20 Grand Slams. But I think it is that it's somewhere all big three have been, chasing each other. They all three are responsible for everyone else's success as well. Because if Federer would have retired in 2014, I don't think Nadal or Djokovic would have even cared to come back out of their injury and come back and win some Grand Slams. But they have done it, and so the big three, are really the way forward. I didn't watch much of women's tennis, but I think it's sensational to hear the 19-year-old girl who has won the French Open without dropping a set as well. So I would leave it to you to talk more about it.
Oh yes, sure, okay. So I'll start off with the French. I'll start off with the women's draw in the French Open. So, and again, even myself, I did not follow the matches closely, but from whatever I've seen, especially whatever I've seen, the champion Iga Swiatek, I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Okay, she is incredible. She is the real deal. She is the first Polish player to win a Grand Slam, and even more incredible is that, as you mentioned, she won every single match in the tournament in straight sets. Now that for a teenager to do is amazing. It's like even Nadal, when he won the Grand Slam in 2005, he didn't win everything in straight sets. So yeah, this is incredible what she has done. I hope she can continue, winning more Grand Slams. Because in women's draw, it's been the trend where they win a Grand Slam and they just go missing. I hope that's not the case, and she, like Osaka, can be one of those big pillars in the women's tennis. So now that's pretty much about the women's side. I didn't want to watch the other matches in detail. But anyways, coming to the men's side of it, the matches that really stood out for me, before we go into the finals, the matches that really stood out for me in this Grand Slam, the first one is the match between Schwartzman and Dominic Thiem. According to me, this is the match of the year. Dominic Thiem was someone I expected to challenge Nadal this year. And Schwartzman played one of the best matches he will ever play to ensure that the highly awaited Nadal-Thiem match does not happen. The match between Schwartzman and Thiem was a 5-setter and was one of the highest quality. It was high quality throughout the 5 sets. So, if you have not watched the match, to viewers, everyone, if you have not watched, I recommend myself to go ahead and watch the highlights of the match, as that was top quality tennis throughout. For me, the match of the year. So that's for me one of the best matches in the tournament and for the year. So that's one of the matches. The second match of the tournament was also Schwartzman, and this time he was playing against Nadal in the semi-finals. The scoreline will say it was a straight set match, but that match was again of really high quality, and Nadal did have to work really hard to close the match in three. Again, that as I said previously with the US Open semifinals, this again three sets might look like straight sets, but it was definitely not a walkover. It was an over 3 hour match and was a real tight match. So these were two matches which Schwartzman played, which really stood out for me. And a player I feel at least in clay court will be a real threat going forward. Or I think a potential champion if he can win these big matches. And again, I also want to mention two other players I found impressive in this French Open. The first one was Jannik Sinner, again a 19-year-old who I thought pushed Nadal the most in a single set. He played the quarterfinals against Nadal, and in the first set he actually showed his talent. But he really showed what he can do, and the big serves, the big forehands, and he has talent, and he showed that during the match in the first set. Obviously, Nadal with the form he is in, he survived, or I would say, he eventually came better of it. And then as the match progressed, Nadal's endurance comes in, and Nadal's talent, and he mentally drains out the other player. So given Sinner is a young kid of 19, what he showed today again gives us a glimpse into what's coming in the future. So I really hope another player who can come up and shows talent. And I feel Sinner can be more threatening in hard courts also, not just restricted to clay court. Let's see what he does. Again, someone else, an interesting player I found in this tournament was Hugo Gaston. Hugo Gaston beat Wawrinka in the third round and played a sensational match against Thiem in the fourth round. Now, again, Thiem for me was someone who was favorite to win the French Open. Okay, maybe Nadal and Thiem, like they were my favorites, 1 and 2, because they played the finals last year, and Thiem was up there for me. And the way Hugo Gaston played against Thiem was wonderful. The style of play is so different from what you see these days. Now we have so much of power game where you have rallies and powerful shots. What he was playing was those deft touches, those drop shots, the lobs which follow the drop shots. These are like what you see in what you call like a real different style of play, and it worked. It worked against Dominic Thiem. He beat Wawrinka for starters, and then it worked against Dominic Thiem. It went all the way to fifth set, and even the fifth set he made Thiem struggle. So it was a really close match. Obviously, Thiem's composure took him through the match, but what he showed, Gaston showed in that match was really good, and he's also a young player. So for me, that is someone I don't know how much he can do the same in maybe other courts, but at least on clay, he would be someone who would be fun to watch. And again, people who haven't watched the match, people who haven't watched him play, please go ahead and watch the matches which he played against Wawrinka and Thiem. These were two quality opponents, and the way he played against them shows what he's capable of. I found it to be really good, a really different style of tennis. So, anyways, these were two players which I feel did not come up come up to semifinals, but played some good, interesting tennis, and we can look forward to in the future. Now, coming to the finals, it was disappointing. I don't want to talk too much about it. It was disappointing to see Djokovic lose in the finals, that too in straight sets. I did not expect it. To be fair, I did not expect Djokovic to lose in straight sets. I expect at least it to go to 4 sets. Uh, you know, Given that Djokovic, I don't know, last time he lost to Nadal in a Grand Slam was what, 2015. So I did not even expect a straight set loss. I knew Nadal was in the better form. Nadal was the favorite going in, but straight set was too much. And even worse was he lost the first set in a bagel, a 6-0. Again, to be fair, that 6-0 was not because Djokovic played that bad. Yes, he did make few unforced errors, but all credit to Nadal. Nadal played some really high quality tennis. That first set 6-0 took around, I think, 48-50 minutes. So that shows there were some good rallies, long rallies, but Djokovic just couldn't win one game because Nadal was actually that good. Nadal played some really high quality tennis, and that is why he is called the king of clay. So he completely deserves the French Open, and I really hope he goes on to win the 14th French Open next year. Because why I want him to do that is because when I started really seriously following tennis, the pinnacle of tennis was 14, or the pinnacle of tennis was winning Grand Slams, and the record number of Grand Slams won at that time was 14 by Pete Sampras, and that was a record which was to be beaten. And if Nadal wins a French Open next year, he will have 14 Grand Slams in one particular Grand Slam itself. That will be super incredible. That just shows where these big three have taken the game to. So yes, I really hope Nadal goes on and wins the French Open next year also. Or if he doesn't, then Djokovic wins it. So that's a different topic. Anyways, that's pretty much it from my side for French Open.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy you talked about Schwartzman, and I think Schwartzman was one of the person who actually I think gave a good fight to Nadal as well in the semifinals, if I'm right. So yeah, and with the final, I would also add, I think second set was the best. I thought maybe the first set, Djokovic did not jump onto a few winners. Even Nadal was a bit sloppy at times. But I think second set was, I think, the best they played. It was fantastic tennis. And you go to third set again. Third set, if you watch the highlights, there are again some fantastic rallies. But if you watch the exclusive part of it, it was slightly sloppy because Djokovic had almost lost it after 2 or 3 games in the third set when he's losing it, and Nadal didn't have to, he didn't have to put his foot on the pedal completely. He could relax a bit. I think the second set was the best among the three, but even that is 6-2. So it's kind of a domination against Djokovic, who, as you said, did not play as bad as the scoreline suggests. And so now I think let's touch up more on the next generation coming up. Who do you think are? I mean, you certainly talked upon Gaston and Stiller and Schwartzman. I don't think is a new generation, but yeah, I mean, Schwartzman is interesting to talk about as well. Who do you think from the new generation can come up?
So when I say next generation, I don't want to include TM and Schwartzman. I'm talking about players younger than 25 years, say. Okay. So in that, to be precise, already under 25, there are 5 players already in the top 10. So I'm just sharing the list here. So there are already 5 players in the top 10. So the latest generation has definitely started to make their presence shown. And the table also shows that the top 10 young and upcoming players based on rankings. And you can see the 10 players within the top 25. So for me, this generation is already showing its talent. And there are some really big names. I mean, these are now, few of them are becoming common names. Zverev, we talked about. Tsitsipas is another someone who is, I think, a sure, definite future Grand Slam winner. So I don't want to name everyone, go through the list, but each of them are talented bunch of people, bunch of players, and there are a lot of Grand Slams in them. Anyways, but again, having said that, we have seen before how people show talent, people reach the semifinals or the quarterfinals and then just go off. So we'll have to really wait and see who in this would become a great. So we'll wait on that, see how they progress. And again, apart from this list, as mentioned earlier, there are players like Sinner and Gaston who are again really good. So they are also good players. They have still, to make it to the top list. But they will soon, I'm pretty sure, if they can maintain what they were doing this French Open, they will come into the top 25 list or top 10 young players very soon. And I'm sure, starting next year, we will start seeing more and more new players coming into the latter stages of the Grand Slams. I'm very sure they'll start winning ATP 1000 Masters and then maybe even win Grand Slams. Yes, the big three, especially Nadal and Djokovic, still has some few years left in them. Maybe even Federer, you have no idea what he can come and do in Wimbledon. So I think there are still some few years left in them. So it will be challenging for the next generation, but I think they are up for the fight, and I'm very sure that they will definitely compete. They will definitely reach the latter stages of the Grand Slams, and if luck goes their way or it's their day, they might even start winning the Grand Slam next year. So I would like to say that the men's tennis is open again with some restrictions.
Yeah. I mean, the big three, the big three is still unknown. It's they are still the big three. That's the part in it. And if you're a fan of the big three, you just don't want to jump the wagon. You don't want to name anyone. I mean, it's interesting that I asked you, there are 5 names you said, but and there are 2 others you added, but you didn't stick to a name either, because you still want to be in the Djokovic wagon. And that's understandable. You don't want to jump the wagon too early. You feel, and it's their reign is still going on. So all right, let's conclude here. We have the ATP finals coming up in a month. I mean, we still don't know who will be attending it, and I hope Federer should be back for the Australian Open. Hope he's fit by that time. We don't know. That is again something which we have to wait till then. It starts in the next January, and I think Australia is a bit more safer place. Is doing a bit better compared to other countries. So we might be expecting some fans over there. We saw it in France as well. So Australian Open again, we might see some fans over there. And by the way, let's conclude here. That's it. To all the tennis fans, we want to hear your opinions as well. If there is anything that we missed, if there is any fan opinion that we missed, please surely do write in the comment box. Please do like our video, share it with your tennis fans, friends, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. That's all from us. Until next time, stay safe.